6 sacks on Mahomes, most in his career. The Eagles all over him from beginning to end. I guess not the end. I kind of am annoyed that they got that touchdown at the end to make the numbers look better than they were. But we'll all remember. Mahomes ends up going, again, it's annoying his numbers ended up this way. 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They were nowhere near that good. Nowhere near that good. I mean, it was garbage time, pile it up. I mean, 33 yards in the first half. He did, if you go look at any QBR, not even the fanciest of the numbers, out of 100, he had an 11. So, we're accounting for how bad he was. He was horrendous. And it wasn't just the pass rush. He was off target on throws. He had that, there's a little play early in the second half, the third down and 5 in inside their own 10. He's got Kelsey open quick, and Mahomes puts it at his feet. He was just off. Bad throws. The Zach Braun interception. Zach Braun, who, by the way, linebacker for the Eagles, first-team All-Pro, had been with the Saints, but never, ever been this good. He shows up in Philly. He's great season. He has a diving interception yesterday. If you watch the end zone cam of that play, Mahomes, he's got Marquise Brown. It's a tough throw, but he's got to put it out in front of him. Mahomes puts it 5 yards behind Brown. It's a horrendous throw. So he was, I think, the way he threw the ball, the way he was misreading things, that pick six to Dijon, he didn't see him. He was spooked. I've never seen him spooked like that. But he was in his own head. Sam Darnold, the viral moment of him with the Jets saying, "I'm seeing ghosts." That was absolutely Mahomes yesterday. He was seeing ghosts the whole night. And for anyone that didn't want to watch the game or was not looking forward to the game or maybe even skipped the game, all understandable. Was there any outcome that could have been better than that? I was not mentally prepared to enjoy this Super Bowl. Even if the Eagles had won, it would have been, one of my a free bet that I had yesterday on one of the apps, and it was on exact score, right? Because those are big payouts, whatever. Just throw $5 free bet on that. 23-20. I'll pick the Eagles to win 23-20 to win whatever. That was the game I was ready for. Low scoring, kind of boring, a dumb call here, a dumb call there. We got that first drive of the game on A.J. Brown. Terrible offensive pass interference call. So that's kind of what I was ready for. I'm not really expecting to enjoy this game. Maybe I'll even be angry because the Chiefs win on some call at the end and they get their three-peat, and now I got to hear about that for the rest of my life. Or the Eagles will win, some low-scoring game, boring, whatever. I could not have imagined enjoying that football game between those two teams as much as I would have. It was the exact script you needed for it. If you're a Bills fan or you're a Ravens fan or you're a Broncos fan or a Patriots fan, anybody. It was perfect. Just dunking on the Chiefs the whole game. Let's go back to the phones. Anything to emulate or copy from Philadelphia? I think the defensive line is going to be the easy answer, but let us know your take. Dennis in Lockport. What's up, Dennis?
Hey, I love what you're saying on these last comments. I had 2 questions for you. One, going towards the Chiefs, not to take anything away from the Eagles. They played a great game. I boycotted the Super Bowl. Well, got up for night shift, looked at the score, and it was 30-6, and I was like, holy cow, that they're getting killed watching it. One thing I noticed, though, I think when you don't have the referees helping those Chiefs, I hate to say it, we've seen what the Chiefs are. They're frauds because they barely got by teams like Carolina and the Raiders and a few other teams this year without a little bit of questionable help. So I want to get your take on that. But the other one was last week you were talking about other coaches, and today you started on a little bit about it. What about Doug Peterson possibly coming to Buffalo? This be behind someone like Joe Brady, knowing there's a chance Joe Brady will be gone next year. You see anything like that coming?
Yeah. Thanks, Dennis, for the call. The coaching. Well, let me address the specific question there first. Peterson What do you got him coming in as? Like senior offensive assistant? Okay, he's not going to be the quarterback coach. One, they already have one, Ronald Curry. And two, does a Super Bowl winning head coach take a job like that? But you do see, right, like a title like a senior offensive assistant. Is that what Vrabel was? Something along those lines in Cleveland. He's not my favorite, though, if you're already trying to pre-plan who's going to replace Joe Brady, personally. Like, Peterson is okay. I was kind of disappointed in what he did in Jacksonville. He had a really talented quarterback. He had weapons. The line was not great, but he had some stuff to work with, and it just never really got going. You can blame the quarterback if you want, but he's not my favorite. There would be other names. I don't have one ready to go for you. Like, I would want to think that way, too, this offseason, and I would not expect Joe Brady to be here more than one more year. Like, if he went to another year, a third year, as Bill's offensive coordinator, like, something would have happened in the negative, I think. Like, if he has another great season, I think he's probably gone. On the coaching, though, like, really, just on the overall from last night, it was kind of amazing to see Reed and Spagnuolo Spags had his answers because, as Sal pointed out, the Eagles didn't even average 5 yards per play. Couldn't run the ball at all. Like, they kind of had answers there. Reed having nothing for the Eagles. That was kind of stunning because he would have known, right? He had to have known. He knows what his offensive line is. He knows he's got a guard playing left tackle. He knows he's got a guy fresh out of retirement playing. He knows he's got backups in. Like, he knows how good the Eagles' defensive line is. He had 2 weeks to watch how much of a hell-raising unit Philadelphia has. And just to have no answer for that. Like, Mahomes scrambling around in the pocket, that could not have been the plan. Where was all the quick passing that they did against the Bills? Those RPO looks that they had. Like the Eagles, I know they did a really good job at taking Mahomes' first read away. But I saw from Doug Farrar, they played more cover 4 than they did all season. If you don't cover 4, is you got 4 guys that are covering the deep quads of the field. You're kind of taking away the big play. So I don't know. Like, I have to believe there was some opportunity to get a quick passing game going. Again, it could have been Mahomes. Maybe I shouldn't blame Reed. I have not watched the tape back. I wonder if the answer, just guessing, is Reed did have a plan and the quarterback was bad. It really could have just been that. I would love to hear that as a takeaway. I'm not informed enough on that game yesterday to know that answer. I would love to, by the end of the day, hear a couple of people and maybe even look back myself and just come away with, oh yeah, no, Reed knew what he was in for and Mahomes just couldn't execute it. But I'm not sure. Let's go to Brad in Lackawanna. What's up, Brad?
Hey, what's up, brother?
Morning.
Hey, yeah, it was nice to see the Eagles win, and it was sad to hear about Dick Duran passing. I thought he was the best coach during the drought. With that said, I had a thought on the off season, and so Josh Allen being an athletic quarterback, I thought if we have any strategy, it wouldn't be draft defense; it would be draft offense. As many young athletic people you can surround Josh Allen with, and then use whatever money we could scrape together, or however we can make trades to bolster our defense with veterans who could probably interpret the defense. And that's my take on that. And I think that the Sabres are mathematically eliminated. They should start Levy the whole season.
Yeah.
See if he's the guy or not.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. The Sabres playoff odds have dipped back below the asteroid odds. If you haven't picked, we did that last week a little bit. There's like a smallish, not like we're not destroying the Earth in 2032.
Small-ish.
Yeah, among asteroid standards. There's like a 3.2% chance that it would hit Earth in like 2032. The Sabres odds are back below that. We got a race going here between the Sabres playoffs and this asteroid. But anyways, Also, real quick, on Dick Duran, I did not know this until the weekend, was an insane athlete. So former Bills coach, passed away, 74 years old, from the drought, of course. He is in the College Football Hall of Fame, ran for a ton of yards at Yale as a running back, switched to safety in the NFL, made the Pro Bowl like right away. Like he was an incredible athlete, drafted in the Major League Baseball draft. So, yeah, rest in peace, Dick Duran. On the defensive line stuff, I think you could very well see them double up. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network, covers the NFL draft, one of the good draft guys. He tweeted this morning, on the heels of the Eagles' defensive line performance, this draft is loaded with defensive linemen. Might be a good year to double up. Good draft to double up at the position, he said. And the Bills have already done that before. So, I don't know how much I want to bet on them landing Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. I might think they're the favorites right now. They got all the boxes checked. They've got the cap space to do it. Not saying it's easy. It's easier for Washington to, but the Bills can do it. They've got a GM that's ultra aggressive in situations like this. They have a GM that has been obsessed with defensive line and getting that right and hasn't yet. And they're a Super Bowl contender, which is what the player wants. And if you want, they're not in the division. And a lot of the other contenders, Baltimore, Cincinnati to a lesser degree, like those are in division. So I want to believe they have a real good shot at landing Myles Garrett. But if you're doing Bills versus the field, you're picking the field. They're not above 50-50 to land it. So most outcomes probably don't include Myles Garrett on the Buffalo Bills. So then what? And to Brad's point, maybe you throw everything at it. You do your first and second round pick and you sign Josh Sweat. You go all out. You got to do better than what you got. Rousseau is a nice player. He was horrible against the Chiefs, but for the most part, he's a really good player. He plays on that Eagles defensive line. He plays a lot. He wouldn't play more than he's like on par with Josh Sweat. He would play. Rousseau would play on that defensive line a lot. Would any other Bill? I don't think A.J. Epinesa is seeing the field a lot if he's on the Eagles. Vaughn would play a little in specialized roles, but even then, like for the third and long situations, they've already got guys that are more effective than Vaughn.
I feel like Epinesa would be maybe in there first before Vaughn.
Maybe. I don't think Epinesa would play on that line. And then even like Ed Oliver is a very good player, but when you've got just monsters up front, like Philadelphia has up the middle, like Jalen Carter, you got to be better. The Bills got to be better on their defensive line, and they've tried. If you look at comparing the two, another call here in a moment, the Bills what have the Eagles done? The Eagles have done a good amount. Jalen Carter was a top 10 pick, 9th overall. Jordan Davis was a first-round pick. Milton Williams, who had 2 sacks last night, he was a third-round pick. Josh Sweat was a 4th-round pick. So, we got a couple of firsts, a day 2 guy. You got a guy in the mid-rounds. Like, they're putting assets in. Meanwhile, what are the Bills? Top 10 pick in Ed Oliver, 1st-round pick in Greg Rousseau, 2nd-round pick in A.J. Epinesa, 2nd-round pick in Boogie Basham, 2 day 3 picks, if you want to go back to Harrison Phillips, and then Dwayne Carter. Like, first, second, third, $120 million in Von Miller. Bean's tried. Bean has really tried. But draft's a little bit of a crapshoot, and I don't know. We've got time this offseason. Anyone want to do a deeper dive on like how the Bills evaluate those positions? There's one trait that I would like to see the Bills go after more. I don't want to indict the whole failure to build an elite line on just this one thing. But one thing I don't really see in the Bills' draft picks at defensive line is that bend in fluidity to be like an elite speed rusher, Sweat is a little bit of that. I mean, he's a bigger body, but Von was supposed to be that. Von was supposed to be that because Rousseau was never that and never will be that. He's huge. He's just not going to be that guy. Epinesa was never that guy. You know, you're Jerry Hughes type of pass rusher. Guy that can almost duck under the lineman if he needs to, spin moves and, you know, just beat him with a burst of speed and not get touched. Again, that was supposed to be Von, but when's the last draft pick that was supposed to be like that? That wasn't Basham. Basham wasn't that type of player. I don't know if they've actually made one like that. Maybe Javon Solomon maybe is like that. But, you know, 5th round. Let's go to Morgan in Toronto. What's up, Morgan?
Hello?
Morning.
Oh, yeah, morning. Yeah, what I'm saying is that they have to, the philosophy has to be the line, the offensive line for this draft particularly. At least 5 or 6 of the first players drafted have to be on the defensive line. That philosophy, built from the front. As you said, big, strong, fluid, fast defensive linemen.
Yep.
Linebackers, cornerbacks, big, strong. Because we're building to play the Eagles possibly, and also to play the Chiefs.
Well, you're definitely Thanks, Morgan, for the call. You're definitely doing it to beat the Chiefs, and if they watched that game yesterday, I mean, isn't their takeaway the whole defense? I mean, the line is going to be first up, I think, but yeah, like when Mahomes, there wasn't often when Mahomes did have a moment to sit back there and pick a target. Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and, you know, like Philadelphia could cover. Avonte Maddox had a moment last night. And, yeah, like the Bills, listen, I think it would have looked better on that front. The D-line, no excuse. Like everybody's there for that game. Like you got to play better. The secondary, you lost Benford. You know, you didn't have Rapp. You would have done better had those two been in there. Would you have been as good as the Eagles were? You know, probably not. But sure, like I think expanding it to the whole defense like is going to be the theme of their offseason. They just don't need anything on offense. They need one thing. They need a speed receiver. That's it. Defense, like I might any other asset. If they spend one day 2 pick on a speed receiver or something, like the first, the third, the big money, like everything else I would expect goes on the defense. Let's go to Mark and Tonawanda. What's up, Mark?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I think the pressure is on Bean and McDermott this draft. I think that, Joe, I disagree. You referenced earlier A.J. Brown and the importance of a true number 1 receiver. I want a speed guy as much as the next guy. But A.J. Brown had 3 receptions for 43 yards last night. If your biggest takeaway after last night's game is we need an A.J. Brown, I just think that's a terrible take. I think where McDermott and Bean have fallen short is solidifying this D-line because when that D-line is getting pressure, it makes everybody behind them way better. And I just don't think that they've been able to do that. And as far as the bend goes and all this stuff, Jalen Carter was throwing Humphrey into Mahomes. I mean, he was a wrecking ball out there, and Mahomes was just not comfortable. You have to be able to rush the passer with only 4 guys, and the Bills' defense has not been able to stop anybody. And McDermott, I love the guy. He's a defensive-minded coach. He's a defense-first guy, and the pressure's on him. How many times are we going to let a good offensive coordinator that Josh Allen's working how many times are we going to lose a Josh Allen offensive coordinator and lose that continuity because of Sean McDermott's inability to stop these teams and adjust? We need to get bigger on the D-line, and I think it's going to be the emphasis this offseason. I have to listen to you. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. You know, you're right. Carter especially. The size in the interior, you know, might you want to argue that's more important than the bend that I was talking about? Like, okay, I'll listen to that. Because right, Oliver is not that type of player. What Carter is. Carter is just going to destroy you. You can't block him. He's nuts. The receiver take, like, I think I'm not really out here going nuts with the receiver take this morning. of like, well, that's why they won. It definitely was a big reason. It was a huge reason. They, Brown, right, he didn't light it up. He only had 3 for 43 and a touchdown. But it was about the efficiency of it, and remember, they didn't need to throw the ball for like a quarter and a half of the game. So all of these numbers are in 2.5 quarters. They had 345 yards of total offense, right? Under 5 yards per play. What did they do offensively in the game? They didn't run the ball well. Hurts ran the ball well. But what they did in the game is they dared... Well, actually, what the Chiefs did, I should start on that front. The Chiefs sold out to stop Barkley. And Spagnuolo took a bet. I think Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, I think we're going to be able to cover your receivers in space. One-on-one. And he got burned on it. That was the one thing Spagnuolo got burned on yesterday. McDuffie on Brown, again, it's only 5 targets because they didn't need to throw the ball a lot in the game. 46 yards and a touchdown. It's 10 yards per target against Trent McDuffie. And I know he's the big one. He's the big number one. Devonta Smith is a number one on most teams. He goes 4 for 69 and a touchdown with the big bomb. It was the bombs, right? It was 137 yards on 5 passes. The explosive plays. Dallas Goedert with a 20-yard catch. Barkley with a 22-yard catch. One-on-one against a linebacker down the sideline. He got open. Jahan Dotson, who didn't do anything all season. And same thing. That's Jalen Watson, a really good corner, one-on-one. Spagnuolo's betting, I'm going to be able to cover Jahan Dotson one-on-one. Didn't. Dotson beats him up the field, downfield. A.J. Brown, 22-yard pass in that game, 22-yard catch. Beats McDuffie one-on-one. Smith, one-on-one. Beats his man over the top. So, yes, you're right. Like, by volume, that's not the story of the game. It's not the takeaway of the game is the Eagles' receivers won them that football game. But, man, it was their offense yesterday. Run game got taken away. What would have happened? I mean, the Bills played the Chiefs. So, if that game script plays out against the Bills this year, where a team is that successful of taking your run game away, 2.3 yards per carry by Saquon Barkley. If your opponent is that good at taking your run game away, what do the Bills do in that spot? What do most teams do in that spot? I don't need to make this a huge Bills point, because Brown and Smith is as good a duo as there is in the league. I mean, other than Cincinnati, nobody has that duo. So, it's kind of unfair to say, well, you need A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. I mean, no, you can't just get that. It's harder. It's easier said than done to just get that. But if you want your takeaway this morning to be, that's why you need a big receiver. It's why you need a top-end receiver. I think I'm fine with that takeaway this morning. It's how the Eagles built their lead. Part of it. Definitely second to the defensive performance. But it's the only thing they did well on offense was beat corners one-on-one with stud receivers.